headlight replacement. So the first thing we gotta do is we gotta remove this trim ring. You can use a screwdriver, I'm gonna use a plastic tool, but you wanna grab it at the bottom and then work on just twisting it. And that's really as simple as that. And it goes back on. This little bump should go at the top right here is how you put it on. All right. For right now, we're not going to mess with the aiming. What you're going to remove is you're going to remove this trim ring here, and that'll allow you to get the bulb out. That's 1, 2, should be three screws. These flathead screws, those are the aiming screws that allows you to tilt the light up, down, left, right. But we're not gonna mess with that right now. Screws are out. This thing's just gonna wanna, it's just gonna wanna fall out. There we go. It's really just a matter of removing this socket and then you'll have it. These are the new LED lights, the lights up. I went with the classic fluid for an old school look. And it's going to be plug and play. So plug right into our socket. Pretty easy. I didn't like the shipping residue left from the tape. Kind of see it right here. It's sticky, it's gonna collect dirt. So I am removing it with I tried goof off, I tried alcohol. Really the only thing that's cutting into it well is the acetone. So I would recommend that to get the residue off. This side has been cleaned, you can see there's nothing there now. Well, the residue is off. And it just plugs right in, and I'm gonna set it so that you can read the word, which here says octane. You're gonna get it set in there like that. Levels you can get it. So I got this tight, but I don't like that. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to get this so it's not bouncing around. So the old bulb sits on these 3 bumps. The big bump goes in the slot, and then the other bumps hold it off the frame. So you can see that gap there is probably a good 1/4 of an inch. When I put this one in, as a simpler setup, kind of hard to see, but the gap is more like 3/16 and 1/8 of an inch. It's just a smaller gap. That's why I'm getting a little bit of wobble. I did measure the distances of the gap with it installed, and it's 2 millimeters less with this LED conversion, and that's causing it to not quite sit tight to the inner ring of this. Figured out a solution that's gonna work. Is I've got some old weather stripping head laying around. This is 1/8 inch high, 3/8 wide. It's rubber, not cheap foam stuff, and kind of looks like this. Anyways, that sticks on really good. I did a test fit and it works perfect. And all it's gonna do is just help compress that bulb into that ring so it doesn't move around at all. So let's give it a test. That actually fits really nice now. It's got a little bit of give to it, which is fine, but it is, you know, it's not moving around. It's gonna be good. Yeah, it's good. And let's try it on and see how it works. As suspected, it's very bright. This is a halogen. This is the LED upgrade. Probably gonna be about 3 times brighter. Yeah, this is with the brights on. Again, much brighter. One thing that's interesting that it's hard to, you probably won't pick up on it, is that there is a cooling fan on the LED bulbs, and you can hear it firing up and whirring behind the headlamp. No big deal. It's just something different. The aiming a little later, but if you want to put the ring back on, just remember to put the little bump at the top. Kind of have to hook it over first. And what you're going to do is this little tab down here goes into here, right there. And so, if I can do it with one hand, but basically like that. Quick alignment of the headlights. First thing I did was I have bumperettes, so I measured in between the two, and you need to find the center line of the vehicle. For me, it was 12 3/4 from here to here, and I checked it. It's good. And then you need to find the distance between the center of the headlight from one end to the other. For me, that was 44.5. So split, it's gonna be 22 1/4 that way, 22 1/4 that way. Okay. Set yourself up something you can shine the lights on. I'm just using some old construction paper in the back of my garage just to get me something I can mark up. The next thing I did is I pushed the car up to the front, and I'm doing that so I can mark on the paper where the center line is. Really, so it doesn't need to be super exact, but you know, there you go. I just used this old framer's square and basically marked a vertical line on my paper. Far back, 10 feet from the paper to the front of the headlight. Make it 10 feet long. Put a level. I usually stick it on the frame since it's got a magnet, but you can tell right out there. And I just do this by just lightly jacking it right there. Just give it jack it up a little bit, just to make sure the car's perfectly level. You want to bounce on your suspension a little bit. Get it settled out. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to take a measurement of the floor to the center of the headlights and get that measurement and transfer it to your paper. Me, the floor to my center headlights was 24 inches. So I just went up from the floor, marked 24 inches. I took a big level. At that 24-inch mark, I started drawing a horizontal line across the paper. Remember, we did the dimensions for between the headlights. So you mark off 22 1/4. That's going to be the center of your lights. Mark in the room the best you can. And you can see the left headlight is low, the right headlight is pretty close. Basically, what you want to do is you want to move those two screws and get as bright as you can in the middle as a starting point to those tick marks that you made. So these are your adjustment screws, is the flatheads. You got one at the top, and you got one here. So obviously you screw that in, the light goes up, you screw it out, the light goes down. Here you screw it in, the light goes inside, screw it out, the light goes that way. You move around. The only trick that worked well for me is, it's not mentioned when people do this, is I cover up one of the headlights and I do one at a time, because that eliminates the bleed through from the other headlight. It makes it easier to line things up. And we'll turn it on. Anyways, they're pretty well adjusted center line now. So you're just actually want to mark a spot about 2 inches down. And what you're going to do is we're going to lower the lights so we don't blind other drivers, especially with these LEDs. I'm going to try 2 inches and see how it goes. So basically drop the lights down 2 inches on both sides, and then you're done. Lights Up does give generic aligning your LED headlamp directions. Very nicely written up with pictures. Using the outside, using your garage door basically. This is probably more generic for Austin Healey's, MGs, anything and their brother. What I did was a more traditional Triumph method. What caught my eye was 25 feet away. I knew I'd have a very difficult time finding the bright spot, so that's why I did the 10 foot, and I think should be fine.